Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and do you remember LEGO Insectoids? Some of you might not, but for many, this was one of the most iconic LEGO Classic Space sub-themes. It was actually one of the later ones to come up during the original run of original LEGO Space themes, featuring the Zotaxians, a group of UFO aliens who crash-landed on a different planet where they had to create different ships based around Insectoid technology to blend in with the native insects of the world. Now, Insectoids was a really high concept, interesting idea for a LEGO Space faction, but there wasn't really ever a story behind it. Sure, they appeared in some comics for LEGO Club magazines, and we got little tidbits here and there, but we never knew there was an overarching story until now. I have just returned from Copenhagen, Denmark, the headquarters of co-creator of Bionicle, Christian Faber, where he gave me this document to share with all of you, and I cannot wait to dive into it, because this is the original LEGO Insectoids Story Bible. It explains the characters, the world, the vehicles, the technology, everything you need to know about the Insectoids are in these pages, including space chapters of the LEGO Space Saga. This is a really cool piece of history, and I cannot wait to dive into more detail as to what you can find within these pages, because there are some of the most interesting descriptions, story details, and pages around LEGO Insectoids that have literally never seen the light of day until now. So a big thank you to Christian Faber for sharing this with all of us, and let's dive into the world of LEGO Insectoids, the unreleased story Bible behind the Insectoids theme. Let's jump into it right now. So here is the official LEGO Insectoids Story Bible. So for some background behind this, I was asking Christian Faber about the context behind this getting made. And essentially, LEGO had said that they needed an original space theme. And he said, okay, well, what's the story going to be? And they said, you know, it doesn't really matter that much. We don't really care about the story. It just has to look cool. And he said, well, that's not going to do. I'm just going to go ahead and make a story for this anyways and try and figure it out. And they said, well, go for it if you want to. And that's why the Story Bible exists. Now, is this official LEGO material? Well, technically, since it was made by someone who spearheaded the theme, I do take it as official. Although, obviously, this is the kind of thing that Christian Faber just decided to make for the theme because he could, which I really appreciate, but also unfortunately means that a lot of this just never really appeared in official LEGO media just because of the nature of how it was made. Still, he sent this over to LEGO and it was approved as a working story for Insectoids, so despite the fact that we didn't actually end up seeing a ton of this in the actual official material published, it still is the background and essentially explaining what everything was in the Insectoids theme. So this isn't that many pages, so I'm just going to start off. It's Insectoid Space Saga 1998, so you can see that was really what they were trying to go for here. A lot of the renders here were handmade by Christian Faber, and he said he was using some of the earliest 3D rendering technology to make this, which is super interesting. So first of all, we're greeted with the LEGO Space Saga, and this was actually really interesting to me because this actually has some background behind the UFO theme as well. So it starts off by explaining that the Space Saga started in 1997, where Chaman the alien had this rebellion against the cruel Emperor Zatan. He fled from Zotax and entered our universe. There's a lot of typos and kind of misspellings here and there. A counter instead of encounter, of course, because of course this, I believe, has been either translated from Danish or they kind of just were trying to piece together some English words here, but you can kind of get the gist of it. And this is actually referencing a LEGO Space commercial when Chaman the alien went to our universe and met Basil the Batlord on the planet of Avalon. And I guess they have teamed up, so both Basil and Chaman, because I say they, so it implies that this is also a castle crossover as well, which is crazy. But obviously there was a commercial back in the day that took this idea of them meeting and actually showed them battling and all that. So that was super cool. And now they are ready to search in their next chapter of the brave Zotaxian rebels looking for planets they can colonize. So Chaman apparently has an older brother, Lomax the alien, who also was one of the rebel leaders. So he fled Zotax with 5 space cruisers, and they're trying to colonize a new planet because there's this evil emperor who's taking over Zotax. So they bring these seeds to this new planet. They have seeds from a green plant that will create their atmosphere. So I don't necessarily know if these guys are the good guys, because they're trying to basically terraform planets to make a new Zotax, but I guess if they find a rough and barren uninhabited planet, maybe that's free reign, it's free real estate, so to speak, so they're trying to terraform these planets to be livable. But unfortunately, the seeds die. So they find this planet, they try to plant them, but they die, so they're trying to search the ground for new energy sources, and they rebuild their cruisers as drilling machines. Then they discover the planet is hollow, but in fact it is just a shell. So it's bare on the outside, but there is a hot and humid world on the inside. So the center of the planet itself is an energy sun with lightning, and that is the energy they've been looking for, but they realize there is life in the hidden world. So there are oversized insects inside the hidden world. They're not intelligent, they react by pure instinct, but they are dangerous because the insects' eggs are hatched by lightning. So this is really interesting how they're basically protecting their territory and offspring. And these Zotaxians, who are starting to seem like not very good guys to me. I don't know. I mean, they're fleeing an evil emperor, but they're deciding to colonize the outer world with energy from the inside. So basically, they camouflage themselves as insects, and that's why the Insectoid spaceships have been made. They have an insect barrier to fly in and out, and the energy shield to keep the real insects from getting out. And finally, they make these yellow vault stones that look like the eggs to replace the eggs with the vault stones to gather energy to collect it without being attacked by the insects. So that is super interesting. They've basically put these fake eggs on the inside of these areas where they can use to collect some of the energy. I guess if there's unlimited energy, maybe it's not like they're taking away from the insects, although it does say they're replacing the eggs. So they are effectively preventing the eggs from hatching. So I don't know, but that is the official story. Very, very interesting. And I feel like that does have kind of an interesting discussion on like morality and if they're doing the right thing. But obviously this is very, very just surface level, literally, for a LEGO space theme, but it again allows you to tell your own stories, which I really love. So here's a render of the planet's surface. It has red metallic rock. There is no apparent life form on the planet's surface, but then you can see on the inside of the planet of Holox, which is where the insects are from, the core of the inside is this powerful energy sun that sends out flashes of lightning. And this is actually the name given to it by the Zotaxian rebels. So we don't even know, I mean, obviously there's no intelligent life on the planet as far as they can tell, so it seems that they just kind of decided to name it, and that's the interior sun. So they built in this insect barrier using their technology. So the insects can't go out through the barrier, but they can fly their ships in and out, and that's how they kind of get through, which is super cool. That's what the insect barrier looks like. Then finally, this image is so cool to me because this is the inner world. You can see one of the insects perched atop there. You've got some webs, and the inner world is hot and humid with a slimy green surface. The air is charged with electrical tension. The insects lay their eggs in the pillars and spread out their webs to catch smaller insects, so there's some kind of predator-prey relations going on here, and those are the pillars where the eggs are laid to catch the lightning to, I guess, charge up the eggs. So that is super cool. And here we have the native insects themselves. So here's the native life forms. The gland is where they produce the big webs, and these are all kind of just hand-drawn by Faber, so that's super interesting to see. And that's what the eggs look like, which obviously are meant to reference the crystals that were prevalent throughout the LEGO Insectoids theme. And they're like cocoons, they glow, and there's a metallic plate on the top to attach lightning, and they even have claws to transport the eggs. They also act as powerful weapons. They communicate by glowing on the back here. So obviously, you're taking those ideas and then turning it into a ship. And I love this juxtaposition here. We have the insect versus the insectoid ship and what they have done to really try to mimic their technology. And there you have it. There is that vault stone there, an exact replica of the eggs used to accumulate energy, which is super cool, getting a lore explanation as to what these are. Obviously, these mechanical types of pieces were meant to mimic the actual insects, so I guess this is the most common one, which is super interesting because that is actually one of the sets. And they even have insect-like helmets and life support armor, which is the same armor that they use in the UFO theme, so they really have that tied together as well. It even explains what this device is to track insect eggs and find the perfect spot for the vault stone, so that is super, super cool. And then here, we actually have some illustrations. So they have collection of kind of getting their vault stones away from the actual towers. They are shouting the insects are attacking. They have to rush back to the surface through the insect barrier, and now they can colonize the surface with their newfound energy. So of course, those are some of the Insectoid ships, and that's what it looks like as they begin to colonize the surface of Holox with their different energy crystals that they've accumulated from the inside of the planet. So this is super interesting, and that's pretty much it. This is just a key visual for what it could look like for shop decorations. They were trying to figure out moving lights or wing effects, or moving wings and light effects would be included, which would have been super cool. I don't know if they ever built that, but that is what it is. They even have some photographs of those early Insectoids toys and even prototypes here. You can tell the wings are not quite finalized in the way they were able to do this as a prototype for the advertisement. But this is super, super cool how they actually have an entire story Bible for Insectoids. One of the most obscure and interesting parts of LEGO lore. I would never have expected there to be such an in-depth story Bible for such a niche LEGO theme. But there you have it. That is the story of LEGO Insectoids, and we always got the basic premise, but we never actually got kind of what they were trying to build out here, and I just think this is so interesting and so cool to be able to see. I hope you enjoyed this look at LEGO Insectoids. It is one of the most interesting things to me that they were able to do for LEGO Space. And there you have it, the Insectoids Story Bible for 1998. So that was our in-depth look into the Insectoids Space Saga 1998. One of the most interesting story Bible documents I've ever gotten a chance to go through. I hope you enjoyed this look at a very strange aspect of LEGO Space, and if there's another theme you want to learn the deep lore behind, just ask me, because the odds are pretty high that Christian Faber has a story Bible for it somewhere. Yes, there's a Drone Racer story Bible, there is an 100-page Hero Factory story Bible or something crazy like that. So all sorts of themes got treatments just like this. So let me know what you want to see next, and I'll see what I can do. Thanks all for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments about the Insectoid saga. Thanks for tuning in, and bye for now.